Hey, it's Cosmo Solutions 8, and today I want to talk about what fitness can teach us about marketing, and maybe more to the point, what fitness can just teach us about entrepreneurial endeavors in general. And I want to tell you just a quick story, if you don't mind indulging me. I haven't always been a big proponent of paying for education. As a matter of fact, I used to think it was kind of a sucker's game. I thought if you're smart enough, you can figure it out by yourself, and there's all this information out online, and why would I learn from somebody else when I'm probably smarter than them anyway, and I'll just go crack the code myself. It's very arrogant um, and ignorant, but that's just, that's sort of how I felt. I taught myself to code when I was young and was really proud about that. Never went to college. And so I think a lot of this has to stem just from, the fact that if I were to acquiesce at some point that I do need to learn from other people, then it would be kind of abandoning those very humble roots, let's say. So anyway, never paid for education. Didn't like that conceptually. And a friend of mine ended up telling me he's going to the Traffic and Conversion Summit, which is the background you see right now on my screen. And I remember asking him, like, dude, you're just going there to get sold stuff. And he was kind of excited about that too. He was excited to see the vendors. He was excited to see the speakers who all, I'm sure, had, some offer on the back end of their discussion. So I'm talking down about it. And he goes, well, if you've never been, you're a hypocrite if you say these things without having experience first. And so I sort of took the challenge and excuse to hang out with a buddy for, a couple of days in San Diego. And I go to TNC. It's the first big event that I've ever been to in the marketing space, and I'm already annoyed. Like, I go there expecting not to enjoy it, not to like it, and to kind of make fun of things, and to also to be above it. I'm running this agency. I've reached a financial threshold that at the time I thought was I'm successful now, and so I was just there to be the peanut gallery, sort of tossing mental pejoratives. And when I get there, I noticed one thing in particular that really stuck out to me. There's all these CrossFit types. Like, there's all these like really fit, athletic, triathlete looking people. And immediately, and again, it just stems directly from my deep insecurities. So forgive me for what I'm about to say, but I'm judging all of them. I'm like, oh God, you got all these dumb meatheads that spent all their time in the gym, and now they're here trying to play catch up, and they're trying to play my game, and I'm sort of getting arrogant. I'm like, welcome to my Thunderdome, like, good luck, Conan or whatever, and just being like, a closed-minded, arrogant jerk. And to myself, I'm not saying this to anybody because they would break me first, and I'm not brave enough. But just kind of that mental chatter that you have that you don't even necessarily acknowledge. So that was my limiting belief, is you couldn't be this fitness focused person and much of anything else. I kind of expected all the successful entrepreneurs to look like me, just be like little popsicle sticks with heads that were brainiacs. And I sign up for the first breakout session that I go to. I get there a little bit early. I get my seat, and this dude takes the stage, and he's like, shredded. He looks like a Navy SEAL. And what was funny about it is that sort of took me back a little bit, but his content was amazing. It blew my mind. The things that he had learned and that he was sharing with me just in this short period of time, they're 45-minute breakout sessions or whatever. And it was such a paradigm shift. It was so humbling. And I just felt so stupid and kind of like dirty mentally. If you've ever carried something around in your brain that later you realize doesn't belong there, and you just need to purge yourself of these kind of, if you have your prejudices exposed to yourself, it's never a fun experience. But what's funny about that is that was a consistent experience the entire time I was there. I'm running into all these people, you're meeting people, some of them speakers, some of them attendees. But there was this huge correlation between people that had figured out fitness in life and people that were successful entrepreneurial. Now, I'm not telling you that's not a prerequisite. You don't have to go figure out fitness if you want to be a successful entrepreneur. But what I do think is there's a strong correlation in what makes you successful at both. And because that was so impactful for me, I spent a lot of time thinking about it. And what I've done is I pulled together a list of things that I think we can learn from those types. So like, what CrossFitters and athletes can teach us about, not just marketing, but entrepreneurial endeavors. And so I've got, let me just pull my little screen here. I've got 7 things. I've got 7 steps, 7 things that we can learn from the fitness freaks. And number 1 is you pay for quality education. And this is something that it took me way too long to learn. I used to try to figure everything out myself. I've tried to, reverse engineer, hack, steal. And what I've noticed about people that are successful in the fitness space is now they don't just pay willy-nilly, but if there's a coach or, a training or whatever that's accessible, they'll pay for information. And they gladly pay because they know how important the information is. And that feels to be thematically very aligned with that culture of people, is they pay for quality education. And that's something that I learned the hard way. And that's something that I strongly encourage you to do. Since then, I've become ravenous. I buy everybody's courses. Frank Kern, Stu McLaren, who's product, Jeff Walker, Ryan Dice, Roland Frazier. I mean, every person in the game has gotten my money, and I've never been happier about any of it. Like, there's nobody that I've spent money on that I've felt like I haven't at least gotten back what I spent, if not more, by a multiple. And it has to do more with with the person consuming the content than anything. I've purchased some crap courses. Everybody has, but you can always get your $400 or $500 out of it. You're like, okay, well, if I learn this one thing. And Tony Robbins talks about that a lot. He's like, if you just learn one thing, it was worth it. So pay for quality education. That's number one. And I think that, the fitness types can teach us that. Number two is aligned with that, but actively seek out coaching. I've got a friend, he's an Olympic medalist, and I won't drop his name because that might not be appropriate, but he had this coach that I thought it was really interesting because this coach wasn't anywhere near his pedigree on any level. And I remember asking him, like, dude, what are you doing? Like, what's going on there? And he started talking about one very specific thing that this coach had that my buddy didn't have. And what he found, and there's a quote, I forget the author, but he says, every man is my superior in some way, in that I learn of him. And so he found what this person was superior to him in, and he hired the coach to learn from him in that particular facet. And I just thought that was so mature and long-sighted. So actively seek out coaching. You should always have a coach. They can be in different facets of life, but always have somebody that's there to push you. And I've noticed in my life, even when I haven't realized it, sometimes your best coaches are the ones that aren't necessarily most visible to you. So I've had mentors and coaches that I didn't realize in the time were coaches. But going out and getting somebody specifically for that role, I think, is preferable. Number three is workshop a process until it works. This is huge in the fitness space. You don't just show up to the gym and start throwing weights around and think like, oh, okay, that didn't work. I'm never doing that again. You show up and you work a process. So you're like, all right, I'm going to do chest and tries on Mondays and buys and back on Tuesday. Can you tell how bad I am at this? And then you massage it, you workshop it, you figure out like, okay, this worked for me, this didn't, I'm adjusting this, and you sort of like slowly calibrate until you find something that works. And you do that until it works. And there's something about that tenacity that's so critical to being a successful entrepreneur and being a successful business person. And again, it's built into the culture code of the fitness world. They realize they're not afraid of failure. As a matter of fact, failure is kind of built into the system. You're supposed to, muscle's built once you've gone to failure. And it's something I really respect about that entire culture now is keeping at it until you've found, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Number four is a kissing cousin to that one, which is you stick with what works beyond boredom. And entrepreneurs have a really hard time with this. I have a really hard time with this. They talk about the different archetypes, entrepreneurial archetypes, and the visionary is the person that sort of, paves the way and then moves on. And I do that to my detriment. There's been so many times where we've developed a product and identified a market, and we start selling into that product, and I'm like, great, this is awesome, we're making tons of money, what else can I develop, what else can I do, instead of staying here for a little while and seeing how deep this well really runs, how much is left, how can we maximize the profitability. And what I've noticed about our CrossFit buddies is they stick with what works, and it's not that they don't change things or keep them interesting or whatever, but they find a way to go beyond boredom, because they realize it's not about necessarily what it is that I'm having the most fun doing. There's a larger goal at play. So that's number four. Number five is they set realistic goals. You can't be successful with fitness and not have set realistic goals. When you start, everybody starts at the same place. The nice thing about this world is It's not like you can be a trust fund baby in the fitness space, like somebody, you can't just walk into your dad's muscles. You got to build those yourself. And, obviously some people have better genetics or more access to, resources or whatever, but everybody has to do the work. And, no matter how strong you are, no matter how fast you are, no matter how good a swimmer or basketball player or football player, whatever, you had to start from somewhere. And so there's the Kaizen principle of 1% improvement every day, and setting those goals and just staying at it. And I think that's so important in the world of marketing and in the world of entrepreneurial endeavors. So setting realistic goals, I think, is something that, we can all really learn from. And then number 6 aligns with number 5. It's track and measure your progress. If you're setting goals, but you're not measuring your key performance indicators that point you towards those goals, then you're not going to hit them. If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there, goes the saying. So tracking and measuring your progress, this is something that these folks are doing on a constant basis. And you see them, you see those guys that are really dedicated to it, and they're at the gym and they've got their notebooks or their iPads or whatever, and they're keeping track of every little thing, counting calories and counting grams and whatever. Track and measure your progress. That which is measured is managed. So that's critically important. And then number 7, the most important one is they show a commitment every single day. There are no days off. I do a lot of coaching. I'm the traffic coach for Digital Marketers Elite program. And I deal with a lot of business owners, and they're all phenomenal people and very talented. Once you get to elite, you end up being at a certain level of pedigree. But, even at that level, you get folks that kind of feel like, oh yeah, this is my night and weekend hustle. I focus a lot of time on this every Friday or whatever. And the key to success with anything is you have to be focused and dedicated on something every single day. And even if you take a day off from weight training, it doesn't mean you're taking a day off from, they're still doing nutrition and proper supplementation and rest and hydration, mindset. They're at it every single day without exception. And I think that that's a paradigm that we could all assume with our businesses and our marketing, is being that dedicated, knowing I've got to spend, this is what I tell my students, you spend 5 minutes a day at a minimum. And that's all you have to do. If you touch something for 5 minutes, then you've done your job. And what happens is, you sit down to do it, and 5 minutes is going to turn into an hour, because now that you did the hardest part, which is just sitting down and, opening up the book or the laptop or whatever, bringing the clay out. Once the clay's on the table, that's the fun part. So maintaining that commitment every single day. And that's it. Those are the 7 things. So I'm interested in what you think. Would love to know if there's some that I've missed. I hope I haven't offended any of our fitness brothers and sisters out there. I wasn't trying to be too derogatory in the beginning, but I wanted to give you a sense of where my mind was. If you're not aware, I own an agency. We do Google Ads management. So, part of why I'm running this channel is I really want to help entrepreneurs grow. I've got a real passion for businesses. This is the lifeblood of our economy, and it's a noble quest that I think we're all on. And I'd love to assist you on yours. So if you like my video, give me a thumbs up. Would love a subscription from you. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, because then I get to start doing live videos. So if you don't mind doing me that favor, we're shooting 1 video a day. So, if you like my content, hit that bell, because then you'll get notified. And I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what you think. If there are other topics you want me to hit. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Super grateful to you and for you. And I'll see you on the next video.